I have never liked extraction shooters because of 3 little letters. PvP. Something about knowing a random schmuck that got lucky and shot your left pinky toe is now strutting around with your high tier loadout that you spent hours cultivating is absolutely vexatious. Marauders was decent but died off pretty quick, and as of late is not doing so good for a $30 game. Gray Zone came close with its PvE-ish game mode, but of course in the PvPvE, your teammates would get a little bit gear envy and poof, you're deader than Diddy's career. Especially with the litany of bugs on launch after a massive hype, with the price tag still at $35, it just feels like extraction shooters were never gonna be for me. But that's when I found Incursion Red River. Incursion, originally titled Project Quarantine, is currently being developed by Games of Tomorrow. It's a small indie studio that, in my opinion, is doing some really fantastic work. Incursion is set in modern-day Vietnam, and if you haven't guessed already, it's an extraction shooter. The twist here is that it is co-op or single player for PvE only. For me, that was an instant sale. Amongst the litany of extraction shooters that exist, I accept that I am absolute dog water at basically all of them. Part of that is the learning curve of those games and make you feel like you are 2 standard deviations below the midline. Like, brother, I take heart medication and I drink C4. Is that a good combo? The science is out. Is my SVT partially my fault? Baseless accusations. But one thing is for certain. After a long day of work, the last thing I want is to get bunny hopped, built on, drop shotted, or emoted at. All of those pretty much negate any of the effects that my propranolol provides and makes me want to do irreversible damage to permanent structures. Now, if I'm being honest, this first got my attention due to its price tag. It's an FPS, I like FPSs, FPS low dopamine equals neuron activation. But after playing the game, I've learned that my addictive tendencies don't just exist within the caffeine realm. I purchased this game less than a month ago and have already put 3.25 working days into it. If I wasn't also playing nuclear option to an unhealthy degree, I would probably have more time in it, but that's besides the point. So, down to brass tacks. How does it work? Like any other extraction shooter, you pick your gear from your stash, you find a task to complete with minor supporting role tasks you can also take on, you select the map, you spawn, you die, you cry, you repeat. Completing more jobs increases your rep with those factions, which allows you to buy more stuff. Most times, I jump in with as minimal stuff as possible. Why? Because I'm afraid to lose everything. Ever since my dog died when I was a little boy, I realized everything in this life is fleeting, even the virtual scar I hold in my hands. So I am terrified to let go. Anyways, to get more in depth, this game has a lot of great weapon customization for you gun nerds out there. You can change pretty much every aspect of the weapons. Don't like that rail? Get rid of it. Buttstock looking a little sus? Yeet it. Throw on an optic, a suppressor, a flash hider, a light, a PEC 15. Really, I mean, the sky's the limit. If you could do it in real life, you could probably do it here. And the same thing with the pistols. You can build them out part by part and assemble them to get a fully working gun. Speaking of pistols, let me just say this as of right now, the pistols are absolute poo-poo doo-doo caca. Like, what is this? I know for a fact I landed at least a few rounds in between the plates. Bro over here is the protagonist with plot armor. I can even shoot them in between the 2 Bobs and Larry, and they have 0 reaction. Shooting the guns feels great. It really a solid punch to all of them. For a majority of firearms, they give you instant feedback in one way or another so you can adjust fire if needed. Most damage dealt by weapons makes sense, excluding the pistols as I mentioned before, and a good one tap to the head is generally all it takes to take someone out of the fight. Gear is pretty realistic as far as capacity goes, and the game ensures that you can't pack rat too much stuff in a single run. Also, I have played with the NVGs maybe twice ever, and just like in real life, they are amazing, but stupid expensive. Seriously though, I really do like how they did the NVGs here. Very realistic, very accurate to real life. Very well done. With that, I feel like the economy in this game, or at least within the fictional world, is absolutely jacked. Because a Russian nesting doll selling for $30,000 and a compass for $27,000 whilst I could barely trade in my last truck for 15 grand is a bit of a broken system. Let me also just say that this is literally ADS the game. A majority of my time playing has been spent with my cheek firmly attached to a buttstock. Now the devs know schmucks like me exist, so they added in an arm stamina mechanic. Now this system is incredibly punitive. You run out of stamina? Unless homie is 10 feet away, good luck. Now, I do wish that we had the ability to mount or brace against something as in real life, because the 10 to 15 seconds we have to make a clear shot while ADS'd, it's a bit of a thin margin. So far, there are really only a couple mission types that ultimately could be described as a humdrum. Yeah, that feels right. But again, for the price tag, you will absolutely get your money's worth on missions to start off with. And again, the devs are planning to revamp the mission system overall, so that should be good. Now with that, we're also looking to get a new map titled Outskirts, so likely a suburban map with some more flat open rural spaces in between. There are two maps that currently exist, the first one being The Quarry. I enjoy this one, although I will say the immense amount of vegetation causes my poor 5700 XT to consider a shortened lifespan. There are a lot of interesting pathways you can take to traverse this map, and enemy hideouts are laid out in a sensible manner to provide a decent challenge to the player. The second map is called Bunker, and let me tell you, it'll kick your tuchus if you let it. Plus, there is no map in the game that you can follow to know where you're at, so you have to rely on memory, or a second mind, or if you're a little baby cheater. I really do enjoy the CQB nature of it all, with cramped tunnels and confusing layouts. It's an overall interesting experience. I also really like that you can go from all these small, cramped quarters to a long-distance engagement, forcing you to really think about your loadout and customization prior to jumping in. Now, looking at the models and animations, I'd give them a solid B tier. The character models are fine. Nothing really to look at with minimal variety, but they do their job in acting as walking loot boxes. The weapons look really decent, and the reload and inspect animations are pretty crispy. Now again, understandably, the game is still in development, so there are a few things that can look a little jank from time to time.
Hello, everyone!
But again, overall, nothing to scoff at. Again, especially at the price point it is, not bad at all. One of the things I noticed that they really haven't nailed down so far is the sounds. Don't get me wrong, a majority of the playtime, it's been great, but sometimes I literally hear the footsteps of a dude 3 clicks out inside of my temporal lobe. Also, I have found that my character has not been taking his prescribed lithium, because after I get done walking, I hear at least 1 to 2 more steps after the fact, which makes me look over my shoulder constantly.
Now or never. Take the shot. Bad rain, terrible rain.
Everything looks and feels snappy overall, and has the ability to make my teeny tiny heart come out of my chest with explosive gunfire and paranoia inducing footsteps. And genuinely, during the golden hours of the game, it can look stupid pretty. Now, am I good at the game currently? No, but for once I'm having fun while sucking, because I know my lack of ability is based on me being stupid rather than being seen by John ESP halfway across the map and being tagged with a perfectly placed 22 right underneath my left mastoid. The AI are challenging, but not like Ready or Not Pre 1.0 challenging, more like enjoyable targets that can and will end you if you make dumb decisions. I have seen the AI take cover in places that generally make sense and are smart enough to move from the position they know that you know they were last at. I also like that there's a fair mix of AI behaviors and that they can become instigating and aggressive, or defensive and precise. This really keeps the replayability to a 10. I think that they do suffer from one of Ready or Not's issues, which is that they can become expert spotters within a millisecond of having line of sight of you. The AI also have a variety of barks that keep you aware of their existence and give you a good indication of their awareness of your presence.
Hostile sighted, moving in!
As far as the bosses go, they're decently challenging, but they're not the Hulk. Hit unarmored spots such as the pelvis and the legs, and even low-level players can take these goobers out with a few 7.62s. One thing I absolutely abhor is the penetration mechanics. Basically, the only thing that bullets pass through are chain link fences. Shoot plywood? Nope, bullet crumbles into pieces. That small twig in the way of the dude you'd otherwise slap in real life? Nope, it's made of titanium. Throughout your gaming experience, let me kind of show you what you can expect, which is to be doing a lot of organizing, like a lot of organizing. If you want a little loadout recommendation, then grab you a SCAR, a Voodoo LPVO, a suppressor, and 60 round drum mags. It quite literally turns the game into a point and click adventure. That and the M700, which is an absolute beast. It's essentially a one tap anywhere on the body, so again, if you find some high ground and lay them out before going in, you're gonna have a good time. Looking forward, the devs have put out a roadmap for 2025, which includes some exciting projections, including that new map, weapon jamming, UI overhaul, extreme weather, and defense missions. There seems to be a lot of great things on their way for Incursion, so I'm pretty stoked. More so over everything else, what I have found throughout my playtime thus far is that the game just works. I have had no crashes in my 27 hours of playtime, and while it is definitely not optimized right now, the mechanics act as they should. So, if you want to play an extraction shooter that doesn't make you want to commit violent felonies, and do it on the cheap, then in my opinion, this is the one for you. Just as an update, I got a promotion in my new job, which means a lot more time learning things. I'm back in college, I'm studying for another IT cert, and I have absolutely blasted my lower back doing a ruck, so things have been a little bit wacky for me. All that to say, sorry for the lack of output, but as I mentioned in the Discord, I don't make videos for the Dolans. I do it because it's fun. The day I start forcing myself to make these videos is the day that I stop. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And as always, remember our sole objectives. Stop the killing, stop the dying. I'll see y'all later.